Well, I want to address something, Russia propaganda or not. Now, have the Russians ever been noted for throwing out propaganda? Yeah, definitely. I know, like, the Pentagon has their propaganda too. Everybody does, right? The Russians, they got their big propaganda. Actually, I don't want to say who alerted me to the story, but it's excellent that they did alert me to this story. But I want to, comment on it because I don't want to, dismiss it out of hand, totally. But there's some key things to this story that tell me it's bogus, it's propaganda. But the whole concept of the Russians having some technology that the West will have a problem defending against, that may be true. But this story on itself. Well, let me just go over the story real quick. First off, there was one that appeared in one place about Zero Hedge. Actually, it was about a Russian fighter, buzzing a U.S. destroyer, the USS Donald Cook. It was an unarmed fighter, buzzed the destroyer several times, and all this kind of stuff. Right? That's one thing that was printed. Now, in this, from a Russian source, I'm actually going to point to the link. You can read it yourself, but I'm going to point out a couple key things about this article that raises the red flag, so to speak, a communist red flag, about what's wrong with these guys. Don't even know how to freaking do propaganda, man. They're a bunch of yo-yos. When they lay it on too thick, they just blew the whole deal, right? So, I'm probably going to put a link to the True History of Russia, too, by Vladimir-Putin. You can read that, too. In the information box and in my comment, you can read that, too. So, they lay it on pretty thick. But actually, this story goes that a Russian Sukhoi, whatever, Su-24, which is a type of bomber with the newest jamming technology, paralyzed the American Aegis system, So the Army has the high altitude air defense system. What the hell is that? THAAD, Theater High Altitude Air Defense System, and the Navy has Aegis, right? Now, well, they said, this is where I'll tip you off that the article sounds like total bullshit. Because, I'm going to say there's a serious situation behind the whole thing, though, and then the actual concept of this in a roundabout way, I'm going to point to something else too by Major Golitsyn that actually will tell you that, yeah, there's some dangers to something like this, possibly. Not as exaggerated as this, though. But basically, the article goes on, the Aegis system and, the USS Cook, Donald Cook spotted the plane, the Russian bomber and stuff like that, and everything was going normally. That's according to this Russian article, right? The American radars calculated the speed of the approaching target, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, the screens went black. Well, how the hell did they know the screens went black? How did the hell they know what the hell happened? This is a freaking story writer, man. Somebody's writing a freaking script over here for a movie. How the hell did they even know what happened? How did they even know what happened aboard the ship? How would they know? How do they know that the screens went black? I mean, if the freaking thing was, unarmed, what are they going to do? Shoot it down? I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know. And they said that the ship was disabled or something. The propulsion of the ship was disabled. I don't buy that crap at all because I don't know where the hell they're coming up with that. But they said the Aegis system would not work anymore and the rockets could not get target information. Well, how would they know that? I mean, that's what the article said. But, when's the first time that Russia ever put out propaganda? I don't know, ever since the Bolshevik Revolution, I guess, right? But anyway, and this is the clincher that really tells me this story's bullshit. After the incident, I'll give you a short little, because I got a comment on what this article is about. He goes, after the incident, the foreign media, so I don't know what the hell they're talking about, the foreign media reported that the Donald Cook was rushed into the port in Romania. I don't know. Whatever. Is that a fact? I don't know. There, all 27 members of the crew filed a letter of resignation. There's 27 members there's all the 27 members crew members on a destroyer. I think there's like more than 200, isn't there? What the hell is this shit? They filed a letter of resignation. Why? Because somebody freaking jammed your radar? I mean, just put some tinfoil around it or some shit. Come on, man. I mean, if they did, what does that mean? Could you imagine after Pearl Harbor? Oh, the Navy just filed a resignation. That's what the Japanese would be saying. Really? Actually got blown up. Everybody filed a resignation. Well, we quit. Nothing even happened. This article from the Russian propaganda outlet says that all 27 crew members, what are they saying? There's not 27 crew members, filed a letter of resignation. Yeah, right. It seems that all 27 people have written that they're not going to risk their lives. You know what? There's people, these guys, they can't even make good propaganda. This is bullshit. But as far as, this was indirectly confirmed by the Pentagon statement, according to which the action demoralized the crew of the American ship. Really? We quit. We quit. Those guys probably got better weapons than us. We quit. Wow. Tell me that's in our Russian propaganda to the max. But anyway, I just want to comment on something else here because there's a lot of stories out there about, the superiority or maybe not the superiority of U.S. forces. But I can tell you this, there's a hell of a lot of freaking factors involved of what could possibly happen in a war. It's like it depends a lot upon, well, I could just say the magic word strategy. Like, for instance, in Desert Storm, if Schwarzkopf was not the one putting the master plan out there and it was Colin Powell, there would have been tens of thousands of casualties. Schwarzkopf came up with a much better plan. He was the one that was the mastermind behind that thing, and it was basically a 100-hour ground war. It would not have, nobody really knew what was going to happen that fast. Nobody figured it was going to go that fast. Oh, Vladimir Zhirinovsky, the drunk that always talks shit about the United States left and right, the Russian Derma party leader, whatever the hell he is. And he was he was over there drinking vodka with Saddam before that happened, talking shit about the Americans, and look what happened, right? There you go. But not to be overconfident, because actually, if Colin Powell's plan was used, there would have been probably tens of thousands of casualties. That's kind of like widely accepted, as a truism. And, this is another thing, too, I also have to point out. I know there's a lot of criticism of the F-35, whatever the hell it is. I'm not familiar with all these weapon systems. I know the bang-bang type, But let me put it this way, like a lot of people talking about that, and, I think they shouldn't get rid of the A-10 at all. I know that, the Warthog, they think they should never get rid of that thing. They should just improve it or something, But, the whole thing is, they always talk about, the F-35 can't win in a dogfight, but it's not meant for a dogfight, right? Neither is the A-10 Warthog, too. It's like this. You got to have the right type of commanders that really know their shit on how to use this stuff in conjunction with each other to make it work. That makes all the difference in the world. It's kind of hard to figure shit out on paper, but you got to have the right leadership. And I guess the real problem we got right now is Obama, man. But I'm glad he's not directly running the freaking military, but he's firing a lot of freaking top military. So I don't like that deal, man. It's something suspicious with that guy. Now, I also want to point out something else because, I think this whole article, this whole propaganda thing that the Russians put out is total bullshit. But there is something that is dangerous. And I knew about this for many decades. Well, yeah, I guess it's decades. Because that was Major Anatoly Golitsyn, former KGB major. He was the one that said, not just a few months before it happened. He said this like 10 years or more before it happened. He said there would be the fall of the Iron Curtain, basically the Berlin Wall would fall, the Germany's would be reunited. There would be glasnost There'd be solidarity in Poland. There would be a new restructuring, perestroika. And he says it was all part of a long-range plan. And what's going on is when they befriend the West, they get a lot more technology, and if they try to spy on it and get the technology that way. So you saw there's been a lot of exchange of information over the decades. And there's been problems where there's been computer chips that are garbage that are in planes that we have. It could be anything. There's been inferior parts in a lot of aircraft carriers, and they caught, like, it wasn't just the Chinese doing it or something. It was like certain American vendors. They would switch labels on parts and stuff and sell garbage. There could be problems in the system that could create a hell of a lot of problems down the road someday. Yeah, I realize that, but the article itself as to what happened, I'm going to say it's flat out ludicrous. You're not going to see crew members resign over an incident like that. It's a crock of shit. And, them just stating that they knew the ship's screens went blank and stuff. First off, they weren't under attack. It was an unarmed plane. So how did they know the screens went blank? It would make more sense if it was an attack and the attack got carried out with none of the ship's defenses going off. Then you could say, yeah. But, they're just stating this crap. How the hell they know anything that happened, How do they know anything? How do they know freaking... I would never believe that the military personnel would resign. And, they say... all the 27 members of the crew, 27 members on a destroyer. I think there's like over 250 or something like that. I think there's quite a few. There's not 27. I don't know what the hell they're talking about even with that garbage. But could you imagine like the Navy, nothing happened physically to anybody. Could you imagine the whole Navy resigning because of Pearl Harbor? That's what the Japanese propaganda would have been freaking back in 1941, right? Yeah, all the Navy's going to resign. They're going to quit. No, freaking hell no, man. Hell no. What are you, crazy? Actually, that would just piss people off, man. So, anyway, I just want to put this out here because there's a lot of disinformation out there, and I'm getting sick of these yo-yos on, I don't like even putting out this video too much. Because I'd rather put out, the next video I'm going to probably put out is going to be sometime on the motorcycle on handling low speed and what you do with braking or something like that. Because, but I have to address these giddy rumors, man. Because Russia is basically trying to create hate, dissent, and division in the United States. And so they can come in and do whatever they want. I mean, either with China or whatever, buy the place up or whatever, and run it one way or the other. If you look back when we had the last financial crisis, 2008, 2009, there was the Russian Igor Panarin. He's predicted that the United States would fall apart and divide into 6 parts in the year 2010. Oh, he's a big expert. But you got to remember this. Yeah, okay, he was wrong. But you know what? That's what they want. That's what they want. They want to demoralize you. They want to divide the United States. They want to look for problems in the United States where there's some kind of division someplace and exploit that to create tension. These guys are freaking bad news, man. The hell with these stupid Russian bullshit propaganda, man. It's a bunch of garbage, man. It's a bunch of garbage. But yeah, I think I'm going to state this. The Russians do have some freaking really smart engineers, and they're always working on something. You never know, man. But the U.S. always has the old belt-fed Ma Deuce 50 cal, right? That thing ain't bad. And actually, to tell you the truth, if we should go back to old tech, and all the way, but stick with old tech in a lot of ways because sometimes I don't trust a lot of this electronic shit. I'm glad they never came out with the electronic advanced combat electronic primer or some crap. They're going to come out with the actual individual rifle. That would have been stupid. I remember they were coming out with that. They were going to come out, since the Cold War ended, they were going to come out with the advanced combat rifle of the 1990s, but the Cold War ended. too fast, you know. So they went out and they did other things. They came out with the A2. They should go to the Grendel, and just get rid of that. I mean, it's the same damn thing as the A2. It's very, I mean, these guys blow more freaking money on bullshit in the military. It's ridiculous. Here, you can do a weapons change. I'm like, so what? NATO don't have it. Who gives a shit? And the way I look at it, the Marine Corps, the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, everybody in America should have the 6.5 Grendel. That'll give people a big edge on the ground. Big edge on the ground. That makes a difference. All that type of stuff makes a difference, man. Big time. And, well, I don't want to get onto that subject, but that's it's cheap to do. They don't do it, though. I can't stand a lot of the bullshit on the top of the military, and I get pissed off. But, you know, there is a lot of garbage that goes on. You just can't change these people, man. I mean, I don't know. You got to throw them in a freaking wood chipper and then talk to them after they come out the other side. Maybe they're convinced of the point. You know what I mean? I can't stand some of the freaking top bullshit assholes in the military, to tell you the truth. They are politically correct assholes, so that's why some of this stuff doesn't happen the way it should be. But, you know, as far as this incident, it's freaking, it's BS. It's BS. But not that, I think the Russians are working very hard on stuff to counter the U.S. weapon systems, and I don't know, they might have some stuff. They don't have something like this bullshit article. They're full of it right here. They're full of it. But they might have some things that, you know, that'll come out when least expected in a real war. You know, if they had this, is another angle too. You wouldn't tell the enemy you got this. You wouldn't even display this to them. You wouldn't even let them know. You wouldn't let them know shit. As a matter of fact, if they had this, they'd start a war immediately and kick the United States' ass, and that would be the end of it. They don't have this. This is bullshit. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. But they're working on stuff like this. I'll guarantee you that. And they're up to no good. And their whole message is to create division and hate in the United States. And, you know, whatever, man. I don't know. They're bullshit. So, it's Russian propaganda. It's been around for at least since 1917. It's garbage. You know, back when Hirohito was emperor, the Japanese used to say that stuff about the U.S. Navy, left and right, too. You know, if you think everybody on a destroyer resigned over this incident, I don't know. Just go back to your conspiracy giddy rumors. I don't know. I don't know what the hell a cell would say about that kind of shit. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.